He had just gotten home from work when he was left stunned. He stared at his pool for hours and realized what had happened. He had worked tirelessly on this pool. After stomping into the house, he told his wife it was done. Neighborhood children were never allowed in the pool again. What had he seen? Ever since they moved into the neighborhood, Jim and his wife Hannah have always wanted a pool for their home. It was an expensive task, but they finally pulled it off. They had installed an amazing device in their garden, but little did they know the headache it would give them, as happy as they were now. The couple were initially childless as they struggled to conceive. They hoped their future would have the children they longed for. One day her neighbor came by and asked about her pool. Because of their love for children, Hannah and Jim agreed immediately. What happened next would forever change the way the couple thought about children. A mother had asked if some neighborhood kids could play in the pool, and the couple immediately agreed. They couldn't help it. They loved children, and the mother was lovely. Jim had a rule about using the pool that he was serious about. He figured there would be no problem considering the kids seemed bright and the neighbors friendly. All parents and children agreed that they would respect Jim's only rule about using the pool. The rule was that no dogs were allowed in the pool. The pool liner was fragile and could easily break when dogs swam there. He figured it was a rule that would be easy to follow. It wasn't long before the mother reached out to Jim with another request. She asked Jim if he would make an exception if some kids brought their dogs. She had brought a puppy of her own in hopes that his puppy eyes would influence the man. Would her tactics work on him? Jim explained that he had nothing against dogs, but that if he let them, the pool would be damaged. It wasn't a risk he was willing to take. It wasn't easy for him to say no, but he didn't want to deal with the consequences. After saying no, he assumed the worst he'd get was a few angry looks and sad faces. But he has a lot more. The children also followed the rules in the coming days. Her summer was better because Jim was kind enough to let her use the pool. They could play as much as they wanted. But kids are known for pushing boundaries. How long would they stick to the rule? Jim was eventually confronted with something terrible that broke his trust. He never expected this kind of behavior in his pool. Jim had trusted the children and their parents to obey his one rule, but now he felt he had been wrong. Something had to change, and it had to change now. It wasn't an easy decision for Jim, but it had to end. He couldn't risk it getting any worse. The neighbors couldn't believe what Jim and Hannah told them about what happened in his pool. They were more incredulous when he told them what he had decided to do. The couple went away for a while, letting the kids come over and use the pool while they were gone. However, they came back to a not-so-funny surprise. Jim noticed the water level was low and tried unsuccessfully to refill it. It was clear what happened. Someone broke the rule, so the man decided to block access to his pool. But not everyone made their decision easy. Jim saw a fairly large tear in the side and had it repaired. This was very expensive work, and apparently no one in the neighborhood was helping in any way. Jim was fixing his pool, but to everyone's annoyance, he insisted on not letting anyone else use his pool, with or without a dog. After all, they broke the rules. The kids came by the next day with a Labrador retriever who wanted to use the pool, and Jim told them the pool was closed. Fair, right? They had a rule and they broke it, so they were no longer granted pool privileges. Apparently, however, the children were quite upset and therefore went to the man's wife. Would you still manage to do something about it? Jim came home and saw some neighbors arguing with his wife. He walked over and everyone started talking about how he was hurting their children's feelings by no longer allowing them to use the pool. The man explained what happened and why he had to close the pool. Some of them started laughing and told him to open the pool again. After speaking to a lawyer, the man realized that if something happens to a child in his pool, he is also liable. After all, it was his property. Jim realized he also needed a fence and some cameras to prevent further damage to his pool. In the end, the man believed he made the best decision for the well-being of his family. To protect the privacy of those depicted, some names, locations, and identifiers have been changed and are the product of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to actual events or places, or persons living or dead, is purely coincidental.